Now recording, Craig. Good evening, Craig. Almost into the morning, Craig. How are we doing? Well, welcome back to the Believe Me You Don't podcast. Hope everyone's having a fine evening. I guess I don't know the point of saying evening, afternoon, morning, or whatever, because if anybody does listen to this, it's like, do you actually believe that I recorded this in the middle of the night? But, it's whatever. Anyways, how's everyone doing? Doing good. That's great. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll be able to do like a live Twitch recording and then put it on the podcasts. We do Spotify over here, Anchor, and on YouTube. I think we do technically Apple. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I think I enabled it, but I don't ever put it on our YouTube videos. So, wherever you listen, thank you for listening. But yeah, it's December. If you're listening to this, we're closing in on 2026. 2025 has gone by super fast, I feel like. But, at this point in our lives, I saw an article where when you become an adult, time is perceived a lot quicker than it is when you're a child. And I think that's 100% true. And it's the unfortunate thing because once you become an adult, it feels like you want to savor the time more versus when you're a kid going into an adult, you want the time to go by a lot quicker. So that's an odd thing. The human mind is a weird thing to begin with. But time is the biggest, thief in this world. Time is the biggest killer in this world. It's unfortunate, but we do what we do what we can, and this podcast is about playing video games, talking about shows, talking about movies, talking about life. So, I wanted to do an episode. We're about 5 days away. 4. No, yeah, 4 days away for whenever I post it, if I can get this up quick enough. 4 days away from the Game Awards hosted by Jeff Keighley. Obviously, we've had the Golden Joystick Awards. I think they're pretty prestigious, but most people in the industry these days look at the Game Awards that Jeff puts on as like, if you think of it like VMAs, Grammys, and stuff like that. So it's like higher tier. He's definitely tried to change it into a big thing for the industry to recognize the games as a whole and get it out to a bigger audience, really, through the mainstream and stuff like that. So I think last year was 10 years, so this one obviously 11th. That he's been hosting and doing it. He's been a staple in the gaming industry for decades at this point, and hopefully he continues. And if he doesn't, hopefully he hands it off to somebody who is capable of handling his show and having all these connections, because he seems to be connected with all your major platforms of like PlayStation or Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. So whoever replaces him, hopefully they get the connections too, and those studios, really believe in that person moving forward. So, but yeah, I kind of wanted to do an episode of basically my dream Game Awards announcements. Because last time, me and Black Hammer did one of who we thought, mainly me, but thought was going to win each category. And we know, as much as some people call me and maybe Jordan Shields of believing in the Claire Obscure hype, you know, getting nominated the most out of any game ever. I do think it's absolutely deserved because the game is phenomenal. It is changing of the industry in the right way. There's definitely a couple that I don't we don't agree upon, Jordan and I, of why they're in there. But that's ultimately up to the people at the Game Awards and how they categorize certain games. So they need to change that, and that's not any fault to Clair Obscur. And if they win those categories, that's all for it. However, I think it would be better for the industry for certain other games to win it. That Clair Obscur is in it. Now, obviously, Game of the Year, Best Narrative, Best Sound, and things like that. Clair Obscur, I think it has it on lock. But this year, it's just been a phenomenal gaming year. It can absolutely go any way. It's just, for me, Clair Obscur, it took me by the heart, and just it was an absolutely amazing game. And I put it in the other Discord the other day. I wish I could get some kind of amnesia or something to forget that I ever played Clair Obscur, and so I could play it again without knowing any of the spoilers, without knowing any of the boss fights, before hearing the music, the sound cues, the combat, learning the combat is just. I think it's going to become a game for me that I want to replay, maybe every year or every other year or something, just to come back to it because of how special it truly was. So speaking of that, one of the first things that I think will be at Game Awards, or I'm hoping, but I do think it will be. They announced, Sandfall did, that they're going to be getting a DLC update to Clair Obscur with new bosses, a new playable area, new story content, and it's all going to be free, which is awesome. Even if I had to pay $10 or $15 for it, I'd pay for it. 100%. It'd be worth it. And I think this is a great opportunity for them, for a big audience, to show off this DLC. And maybe it would be absolutely epic for it to shadow drop that night. But, maybe into next year, I would absolutely wait for it. I'm not sure what it would be. Maybe some of the older. I don't. Maybe I think some people have speculated, because I think Sandfall technically tweeted out like a picture of it, and it shows like a playroom, and it's a figurine of SK, and that's Versos. So like maybe it's a little bit more backstory on Verso and SK, and maybe some of his adventures with Monoko. That'd be cool. So we'll see. That's my first kind of prediction, dream. So, and then I was just spouting off some shit to Kiwi, honestly, the other day of my dream Game Award announcements. And obviously, I know that this is like, I'm talking like peak perfection. They're only listening to me and my thoughts. The industry is, and it's never going to happen. So, one thing that before I talk about my dream predictions, apparently there's this statue that appeared in the desert a couple weeks ago, and we don't know who it was placed by, obviously, because they're trying to do a teaser, and it's going to be revealed at Game Awards. And it's like a portal with a bunch of enemies, I guess you would say, on the side of the portal. I'm looking at it now. You got like a tiger, you got some demons, there's a crocodile, there's some skeletons, some armored people, and I think that's a wonderful way to build up hype for the Game Awards. However, I could really see this being a letdown, not because it wouldn't be quality, but just because it's such a big thing and it's building hype, and even Jeff is building the hype of it, and some of the bigger writers in the industry, like Jason Schreier, if you know of his work and whatnot, he's also got connections like Jeff does, and he said he's not going to confirm what it is, obviously, but he said it's a good one. So I don't think he wouldn't tweet that out, and if it wasn't something a bigger franchise. My question is it a franchise that we're aware of? Is it a sequel of a game we're aware of, or is it a total new IP? I lean more towards it's something we already know of, but haven't gotten a lot of information about. So I think so far it's been checked off by several companies. It's not Diablo 4 expansion. It's not Elder Scrolls 6. What's the other ones? What is the statue? Desert. Okay. And the people of God of War said it's not a God of War statue. So a lot of people are speculating it is Elden Ring 2 or Bloodborne 2. If it was either one of those, I think the internet would lose its absolute mind because From Software is on just a generational run right now. Like they're having like I think Capcom and From Software are in their own category of the amount of quality games that they've put out for the past close to a decade at this point. Capcom more of a remake remaster type deal through Resident Evils. Once they put out 7, they started to build upon everything with remaking RE1, 2, 3. 3 is led on obviously whatever, but it was still a quality ish. And then you had the remake of 4, and it's how much people love it. And now 8 Village was pretty good. And now we have Requiem coming out in January or February next year, I think. And I know a lot of people are hyped for that, and they still plan on remaking other games. So, and then they've obviously put out like Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise, and Wilds. Wilds hasn't done what I'm sure they expected to, and that's some of their own fault because they don't fix their freaking party system. But overall, it was decently received. And in some slower years, it would absolutely be considered at least nominated for Game of the Year. It's just this year's too stacked. So, and then you have From Software, who what have they done in the past decade? From Software games in the past decade. You had Bloodborne 2015. Obviously, people want it to come to PC and 60 FPS and shit like that. You had Dark Souls 3 2016, which is one of a lot of people's favorite in the Dark Souls series. You had Sekiro 2019, Game of the Year. Elden Ring 2022, Game of the Year. You had Armored Core, coming back to that franchise in 2023. And then you've had what's Shadow of the Erdtree DLC And then you've now this year you had Elden Ring Night Rain, the live service game, and then you're getting a Nintendo Switch exclusive next year in Dusk Bloods. So they're also on a generational run, and but I don't think we thought that they would put this much love into a new, I guess you would say, IP-ish for them. Obviously, it's the same as in Souls, but like Elden Ring was such a generational thing for them. And when it came out, and even to this day, it's just like it's on a different level. And I don't think people thought that they were going to continue it because, like I said, you got Elden Ring, then you had Shadow of the Erdtree last year, which the DLC could be considered a full game in its own right, and then you had Elden Ring Night Rain, the live service game this year, and the DLC is actually coming out. It already came out, so they're just on a different run. So if that statue truly turns out to be Elden Ring 2, or I think Bloodborne 2 would go crazier than Elden Ring. It's not that people don't want Elden Ring 2. It's just people have been they put Bloodborne up there with Elden Ring in terms of best Souls-like. So it's going to be interesting. The statue gives somebody did like a little art thing to it. They said it looks like Saros, House Marquis next game coming out next year, and I think that I don't. They've done. We have the hype. The last State of Play that was done focused on Saros gameplay, and I think just everyone's already sold. So I don't see why, and we already got a release date. So I don't think they would waste that hype to just put out a random statue in the desert to, keep building it up. So I really think it's something else. Kiwi made a cool point, and I don't know much lore behind it, but Darksiders 4. I think when is Darksiders 4 supposed to? I don't think they have a release date. There's no official release date, but they teased it in August 2020 or August this year. So maybe it's, could be Darksiders because Kiwi said some of it lines up, but it's just odd because like I said, the picture, it or the statue, it's got a bunch of different things on it. To like skeletons, armor people, a crocodile. I don't know. It looks like a winged person. I don't know. And some people I think have speculated too it could be a Doom expansion. I don't see that. But I don't think Doom really does expansions. They just do DLCs, and I feel like this is too much of a hype for just Doom. So we'll see. Game Awards this Thursday or December 11th, 7:30 Eastern. I think it's on Prime, but I'm sure it'll be streamed on other platforms. Hopefully, I do get to watch it. It's at least the back half of it. I think last year was like a 3-hour show, and because you got to fit in basically all the categories, and some of them they go through pretty quickly. Now, Game of the Year, they'll take their time at the very end to announce it, and they'll do. That's another thing about the Game of the Year winner. There's so many good ass games in that category, but they're all amazing when it comes to their music. and I can't wait to hear Clair Obscur. I can't wait to hear Hades 2, Silk Song. They don't really care about Bonanza, but it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, you got to talk about, you got to go through all the categories, who won and stuff, and some of them will have speeches. You have presenters come out, maybe some celebrities. They're gonna have random ass um, ads that they have to run to pay for the show. That's understandable. And then they'll have game announcements in between all of that. So like they're having to run, you know, I'm sure it'll be at least a 2 if not 3 hour show again. So I'll definitely get to watch it as long as Jaden definitely, lets me watch it. As after the boy goes down. So it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for it. I just don't think 2026 is gonna be as a quality year in terms of games that weren't on the radar of gonna be good. Because we really didn't think, like, we saw Clair Obscur and was like, that has a lot of ambition, but there's just no way that it could, do what we thought, or what it did. We didn't think it could do that. So, and then obviously you have just basically this shadow drop of Silk Song after nearly a decade too on that. And then 1.0 of Hades 2 releasing in the same freaking month. No one saw that. And then you have finally Nintendo going back to Donkey Kong and how well it's been received. Now, Mario Kart World, there's been a lot of about it, especially for the launch title for the Switch 2. We even had a Switch 2, a console release this year. So I think it's doing okay. Pokemon Legends Z to A. I'm trying my best to get through it. It's not grasping me. It's unfortunate. But but and then you have like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. A lot of people love that game. Death Stranding 2, for whatever reason, people love that game. So just so many quality ass games, and I think we're finally getting. And I mean, I say this, and it seems like games are taking longer and longer to create, but I think we're finally getting past the COVID point that slowed down the industry. It's still unfortunate that they can't continue to lay people off in this industry, and they got to figure things out for sure when it comes to money and whatnot and the cost of the games. But there's no reason that they can't take this year and learn from it, like the bigger studios. Because, like I said, Sandfall Interactive, yes, they have a publisher and whatnot, but it's a $50 game, and you can easily get anywhere from 20 to 90 hours out of it. And it's peak. It's absolute peak. And then Silk Song is 20, I think. And we know it's anywhere from 20 to 80 hours or whatever. And it's on Game Pass. So is Clair Obscur. I know shitty Microsoft bumped up Game Pass Ultimate this year, mainly because of how lackluster Call of Duty sales have been, and that's a shame on them for doing that just because of one franchise. But I know they'll never admit that, and we probably don't have the actual correlation of it, but I think it's a big factor, and it's unfortunate that the rest of the games have to suffer from one franchise because it's been mismanaged. And speaking of that, we have Black Ops 7. I'm having a decent time with it. Black Hammer and I been playing it a good amount. Zombies is quality for the most part. The boss in the first map is ass cheeks, just straight liquid diarrhea, just awful. It makes zero sense. It may be hard, but it's stupid. It's stupid. Anyways, Um, the new Resurgence map I think it's great, a good step in the right direction. It's on, like I said, Black Ops 7, Game Pass, and then Hades 2 getting its full release. I think it's a $20 or $30, but I believe it's also on Game Pass. So, like, you know, the amount of quality games that, as shitty as Microsoft has done this year, with them increasing their Xbox prices and stuff, I still think that Game Pass it's the best value if you can play enough in a single month and for the rest of the year. It's worth it. It's still worth it. And its current price. I wish it didn't go up that much in one go, but if it continues to go up, then I truly would reconsider dropping it and maybe just doing the PC version and whatnot. And it'd be unfortunate. But also a shitty thing I think they did. They took off freaking. Oh, I forgot. Lies of P DLC came out this year. They took Lies of P off of Game Pass. That was shitty of them to do. I'm sure there was a contract or whatever, but it was still shitty. Yeah, I had to buy the game and then the DLC. So, Microsoft, shame on you. Anyways, so here is this is what my ultimate items that I would want to come to Game Awards that I know is, it doesn't even have a 1% chance, it has a 0% chance. So what was I saying? Final Fantasy VII Part 3, you get a trailer and a release date of, I say 2027. I'm going to say, so we've had remake, intergrade, and then rebirth. I think I don't know, return maybe. We'll see. I just can't wait for this game. I can't wait for them to finally move on. I'm not saying that I don't want to, to play this game, because I absolutely do. I want to see the end of the saga. But I'm ready for them to start focusing on other Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy 17. Maybe they've learned their lesson and don't want to do another remake to this scale, because there's no point in. This shouldn't have taken 10 years to remake fully. I know that each game is its own game of how big they are, but it shouldn't have taken 10 years. And maybe even 10 plus years when it comes to pre-production and stuff like that. So I would love to get a Final Fantasy VII Part 3 release date, a year. We'll go the year. And alongside a trailer showing off the end, basically. I hope that they don't cut certain things like getting a golden chocobo, finding Knights of the Round. We haven't even seen the weapons yet. Like, I want to see the boss fights of Emerald weapon, Ruby weapon, freaking Sapphire, bro. I just want to see all that. Final Fantasy IX remake. It's just say it's real. That's all I want. Is saying it's real. It may be a little bit, several years off, but I want to just say it's real. And for that remake, it needs just to have maybe some voice acting in it. Don't change the combat, because it was fun. Like I said, you can't take 10 years like they're doing with 7. And I know people love 9. 9 is one of my favorites, but it's not in that same category as 7 when it comes to that love. But I think it deserves, if they do plan to remake it, it deserves the 18. So that would be awesome. And then, like the ultimate, like 0, like it has a -% and that's not possible, but it has a -% chance to ever be revealed, talked about, or whatever, because it's just done. It's gone. it's Fade to Black, but a Legend of Dragoon. It gets a tease of them talking about that they're going to remake it. And when another remake, it was a massive game for the early 2000s. Well, 2000. I know they were trying to compete, Sony was, with Final Fantasy VII, but it was too late. A lot of people got to play it because PlayStation 2 was literally coming out, I think, that year or the next year. So, but if you've played this game, you know what it is. It's amazing. And that would be like, I would buy the absolute collector's edition for that game if it ever came to fruition. I can always dream. I just know it's never going to happen unless Kiwi just, unless I somehow bribe him, pay him hundreds of dollars in Monopoly money to remake the game. It's just never going to happen. It's unfortunate because Clair Obscur absolutely took inspiration from Legend of Dragoon. So, God of War, the 2D game that has been in speculation for a while now, or just a remake / remaster of the original 3, the Greek trilogy. I know, and like just basically upres. You don't have to change much of the combat, maybe some of the jankiness of it or whatever. Fully, I think it was pretty voice acted, but maybe even more. Now I know they may have to change some of it because it may not fly in 2026 if it got a release date of 2026. Some of the scenes, like the sex scenes and stuff, probably wouldn't fly in today's environment and society and whatnot. So they may have to change that, and it'd be unfortunate, but I'd understand. So if they got or if they teased a small project of something to do with Atreus, him going off with Angerboda. So I don't know. Get Fable news finally instead of it getting pushed back. Maybe 2026 is the year for Fable to finally come out. Get more Duskbloods gameplay. I own a Switch 2 now, but I highly doubt I play that game because it's a PvE / PvP game, and I do not feel like getting wrecked by people in the Souls genre. They're too good at the game, and I'm not. GTA 6, they absolutely confirm we are not moving from this release date of next year. Here's pre-orders. Here's the editions. And they stick with it. And they show them off some... they've already shown off a crap ton of stuff, but they show off even more. And then JK, they actually delay it to 2027. I think that would be a joke. But if they did it, it would push back even further, and it would allow the games that are in 2026 already confirmed, like Wolverine and Sorrows and Requiem. They will get their love that they deserve instead of people just waiting for GTA 6 to be bombarded by morons who want to play this franchise that hasn't come out in over a decade. So, maybe we'll probably get another Requiem trailer. Maybe they show off Leon finally. Oh yeah, Dino Crisis Remake. Capcom, what are we doing? Exoprimal failed. You know it. Stop lying to yourselves. Quit making shitty games like that. Resident Evil has a formula. Dino Crisis 1 and 2 were awesome. 3 sucked. Just do 1, remake it, and I promise you it will do just as well as the Resident Evil 1 remake did. So, please, make it happen. I'm tired. I'm tired of you guys just ignoring your franchises. and a Breath of Fire. A Breath of Fire full remaster, remake, bring it to my PS5. I want to play it again. I never beat it. I tried so many times. I never did. It's an amazing ass game. I want to play it. I want to beat it. I love the Breath of Fire series. I never got to play 4, or I never did play 4. I would also like to do 4, so make it happen. Anthem 2, I know EA has given up. Literally, the servers are shutting down, I think, next month. It's unfortunate because that game was beautiful. It had so much potential, and EA failed it. I know BioWare was behind it, and they have been awful since after Mass Effect, but I don't think EA gave them enough chance. I know they had a lot of ambition with that game. However, it could have been an amazing game. The exploration, the flying, even the combat was spectacular. They just needed content. So, and speaking of that, I would take an Outriders 3 as well. I don't know which one I would prefer more, because Outriders 3, I know they're slightly different, but they're also the same in terms of a looter shooter in a sense. But I think if you take Anthem's exploration, flying, and stuff, and then you put Outriders combat, combine them, and then have content of what Outriders was supposed to be, of the ever-changing, I can't remember the name of it, but it was supposed to change over and over. It would be a kick-ass game. It would be Helldivers to an extent, and maybe even thrive better. It wouldn't have the community that Helldivers does, but from a gaming standpoint, it would be an amazing game, I think. Blizzard announces that World of Warcraft is canceled. We can move on with our lives. Donkey can be unshackled for the rest of his lives. All of his mounts are destroyed, deleted, taken away from him, and he has to start a pizza joint. I don't know. It's unfortunate. Yu Hakusho gets their live action season 2 announcement. Where is it? I don't know. It's unfortunate. Destiny 3 is canceled alongside Marathon, but they combine with Halo Studios and finally go back to the glory days and create the Halo that people love. Fallout 5 is finally announced. They end all their work on Fallout 76. They go to Fallout 5. It's announced. It comes out in 2028 because we know, sorry. We'll go to 2030. Yeah, we'll just put it up 2030 because Elder Scrolls is not coming out until at least 27, if not 28. So it'll be a co-op Fallout game, but you can also play single player fully. Cross-platform. Building is completely optional, not like the settlement system in Fallout 4. You wouldn't have to do that. So, but yeah, those would be my absolute dream announcements. I know none of those are going to happen. Literally none. I do think we get some Requiem, another Requiem trailer, maybe some GTA 6, maybe some more Sorrows, maybe even more Wolverine. That'd be wonderful. But it truly would. The biggest thing I'm just looking for is if they show Expedition 33 DLC and a release date of next year. So, I think Phantom Blade did confirm that we will get a release date. They said earlier in this year that we were going to get a release year, but they are saying date. So with that, I think it may be the end of 2026, which is unfortunate because they're going to have to compete with Wolverine and GTA 6. And this game looks like it's supposedly the next big Souls combat game. So, but yeah, look forward to watching the Game Awards and then I'll definitely do an episode of all the winners, all the announcements, and whatnot when I can. Probably next week if we can stick with it. I know it's about to be the true holiday season. It's going to be crazy, but I'll do my best. I love doing these episodes whenever anybody can join me. If not, I'm having fun again of just me doing the episode. So, but for now, I'm really just playing Digimon, I'm trying to beat Digimon, and it's a beast of a game. I'm 40 hours in and only 56% of the way. That at least what PlayStation's telling me. I know I'm doing a lot of AFK farming and some of the side quests and whatnot, so I don't miss out on them. So I can get a lot of the Digi evolutions and stuff. But still, 40 hours for 56% is wild, in my opinion. And then I'm trying to mix in Pokemon Legends ZA. I think I'm probably halfway. So I'm trying to beat both of them by the end of the year. I don't have a lot of games that I would be in my backlog per se. And even in 2026, I don't have a lot that I'm looking, that I feel like I really want to dive into besides I'll obviously play Requiem. It's going to be a little bit in between. I want to play Midnight. WoW did give the release date in March. It's just with the child being born and stuff, it's going to be difficult. The housing looks awesome. I know Donkey and Jordan don't give a shit about it, but I think it looks awesome. And I hope the expansion does good. And then Wolverine, I do want to play Wolverine because, what they've done with the Spider-Man games, Insomniac has done with the Spider-Man games, I know Wolverine is going to be a banger-ass game. So, but, and then I know we'll have Grounded 2 content every probably 2 to 3 months that Black Hammer and I will dive into, and then I don't see 1.0 releasing in 2026, so Kiwi probably won't play it next year. He'll wait until it comes out. I'm thinking 2027, like early. So, but yeah, just vibing out right now, playing Digimon, Pokemon, and some Black Ops 7. So, but anyways, I'll end it there. And like I said, I'll try to get this out as quickly as I can before Game Awards, and then I will do an episode, whether it be myself, Black Hammer, or maybe Jordan and them join me. But definitely we'll do an episode after Game Awards talking about all the winners, the announcements, what we thought was going to be there or should have been there, and whatnot. So, and looking forward to 2026. I'm sure I'll do an episode fully on the 2026 games. After this, we'll really get, some announcements and dates of those games coming next year. So, but anyways, I'm going to end it there. Remember, like I said, we got Spotify, YouTube, Anchor. I don't think it's on Apple Podcasts, but just go out there, listen if you can, like it, subscribe, leave a comment, answer some of the polls that I put out there if you can. But otherwise, just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for listening. And remember, you can continue to believe us. If you don't, peace.